Hello, my name is James Hervey-Bathurst. This is my family home, Eastnor Castle, and I very much look forward to showing you around. We will see the rooms that the visitors see, we'll go upstairs and look at the bedrooms, and I may be able to show you a few pictures of what we do when we're living here and having events and activities taking place. So follow me, and I hope you enjoy the tour. Just before we go in, let me explain that this house is really a house, not a castle. It was made to look like a castle because there are many castles in our area on the Welsh border. But it was only built from 1812 to 1818 by my ancestors, and it is actually quite modern or contemporary with the 19th century inside, as you will shortly see. So follow me. Well, this is our great hall, as you can see, and we'll just have a look round and see how big it is. Right up to the ceiling, which is 17 metres high, and sweeping round, looking at the pictures and the armour, piano, and then I will tell you a bit about the history of the room. So this was designed to be the heart of the medieval castle. And so it was originally a very empty room, but during the 19th century, my family gradually filled it up with furniture. So now it has really got a collection of things from all over Europe. We've got a Flemish cabinet, we've got German suits of armour, we've got Italian tables and Italian chairs at the end, and even Persian painting, which we can look at as we walk out. It's a challenge to use this room because it's so big, but also because in the winter it's very cold, or it used to be until the central heating came along. And now we use it all the time for parties, receptions, and even wedding parties take place here. We can have dinners in here for 150 people. It's a great space. It creates a very good impression when you arrive, and it's been great fun to restore it now to what it was 100 years ago. So here's the Persian painting. We're not quite sure how we got hold of it, but it's a fine and unusual piece. Here are the beautiful Venetian chairs with lovely leather coverings, and then behind at the entrance to that door are two suits of armour made in Nuremberg. This is our inner hall, which contains most of the armour collection now. We moved quite a bit out from the Great Hall. So on the horse we have some Italian armour with a Visconti family shield on the other side. We have more suits of Italian armour up at the high level, and then another piece of German armour below it with the corrugations or fluting. And on this wall we have some armour from North India. So we've got quite a wide selection of armour here. And my ancestor who built the castle collected it because he realised it didn't make sense to have a castle and not fill it with armour. So that's what he tried to do. Come into the dining room. This is our dining room. As in most English historic houses, the dining room is the room where most of the important family portraits are. And in this room, the most important one is the large one here by George Rumney, who painted my ancestor, John, 1st Earl Somers, who built the castle. And also it has pictures of his two sons, this one on the left, who died in the Napoleonic War at the siege of Burgos in 1812, and his younger son, who inherited and continued the decoration of the house up there. If we sweep round now, you can see the mahogany dining room table, And at the end of the room, more family portraits, including one from my father's side of the family. And on the left, the little boy, but dressed in girl's clothes, is my great-great-great-grandfather, and I'm descended directly from him, obviously. This is our drawing room, just across the hall from the dining room. It was designed in 1849 by Augustus Welby Pugin, whose father had come to England from France. Pugin loved the Gothic Revival style, so he designed this room to look like a high Gothic Revival church in some ways, and he designed quite a bit of the furniture that's in it. So you can see the huge chandelier, which was copied from one in the Lorenzkirche in Nuremberg, and then various other bits of furniture were designed by him specifically to go in this room. And we use it today for all our guests, and that's why there's a television in the corner, which was designed more recently. So we've moved on from the drawing room now to a room we call the Octagon Saloon. It used to be used as a drawing room by my grandparents, who didn't like the old style, but now we use it for parties, receptions, dancing during weddings. And it has a lot of portraits by the Victorian painter G.F. Watts. There's a bust of my father in the corner. And this is the first room we redecorated when we started restoring the house in 1990. And it combines with it, therefore, a very elaborate and richly painted ceiling. And if you don't like the interior of the room, there's a very nice view as you look out over the Malvern Hills. And you'll just see a lake in the bottom half of the picture. That was created at the same time that the house was built. Well, this, as you can see, is a library. It's our long library, and it was decorated in 1865. The taste of our family changed. They went away from the Gothic style, which was 1849 in the drawing room, to 1865 in here, and it contains many things that were made in Italy or bought from Italy. So we'll just look at one corner, because there's a lot to see in here. Here is a Casapanca, sort of Italian bench, with a Medici crest in the middle. And then the bookshelf behind it, and all the bookshelves in this room were made in Italy for this room, and it contains the motifs of my family in the carved woodwork. And if we swing on round the room now, you'll see at the end a tapestry, and there's tapestries all the way along the walls of this room, above the bookshelves, and that tapestry came from a Palazzo Mantua. It was made from Mary of Medici, and it's called the Artemisia series, and it's Flemish. Well, we're very lucky at Eastnor Castle because we haven't just got one library, we've got two, and this is our small library. The bookshelves in this room came from the Society of the Inthronati in Siena, and date from 1620, and were bought by my family and installed in the middle of the 19th century, obviously. The billiard table was my grandfather's, and he decided he had enough rooms to sit in, so he would dedicate this space to billiards. And today our guests still use the billiard table when they're staying at weekends, and it's really good fun. Before we leave this room, I'd just like to show you a very nice Italian chair that we've got there. And then as we move to the left, there's a photograph of my grandparents, who lived here till 1939, on their way to the coronation of King George VI in 1937. And then if you come round to the left, have this inlaid Italian table and clock, which keeps very good time. Let me imitate the clock. This is our staircase hall. That's how we get people to come down to dinner. The staircase hall has a number of nice things in it. Again, quite a few things from Italy. These porphyry urns, and then as you sweep up past a Flemish tapestry, there's a chandelier that came from the Corsini Palazzo in Florence. And then one of my favourite things in the corner of the room is this Dutch clock. It's normal to have clocks in the staircase hall so that people can hear them striking and work out the time. This was bought by my grandfather in Amsterdam in about 1938. It's made by Johannes de Scheen. And below the clock face you can see some automata, and that's a symbol really of the Dutch being freed from the Spanish occupation. But in mythology, this is Perseus riding to rescue Andromeda, and Andromeda represents the Dutch tied to the rock. Perseus is about to set her free. Quite a few steps to come up, so it's better not to forget anything in your bedroom. We'll go along and have a look at my grandparents' bedroom now. So this is my grandparents' bedroom. We redecorated it in about 1992. We have recreated a baldacchino from an Italian altarpiece, which was originally made into a bookcase to make a canopy for this bed. And then over here we have a French armoire showing the marriage of Louis XIII. And then in the corner by the window, what we call a day bed for resting on during the daytime. And this bedroom gets used all the time by our guests. Some of them are friends of ours, and some of them are paying guests who come here for weddings and other activities. Just as we leave the room, I'll show you the portraits of my grandparents. They're painted by de Laszlo, Philip de Laszlo, who was a Hungarian who came to paint in London in the 1920s. Obviously my grandmother in her hunting clothes, and then my grandfather over here. And just below him is a photograph of Prince Michael of Romania, who came to stay here for a Boy Scout event in 1937. And I met him just before he died when he was King Michael, and gave him a copy of that picture, which he was very pleased to have. No tour of a British house would be complete without seeing a bathroom. So come and look at this one. The loo was fitted in the middle of the Victorian era and is still working today. I'm now going to show you one other bedroom, which is in a completely different style, and I think you'll really like it. So as you can see, this is our Chinese bedroom. It's 18th century Chinese wallpaper, and many English houses had this sort of room in them. It was very popular. But we call this now not the Chinese room, but the Queen's bedroom, because in 1937, Queen Mary came to stay here as a guest of my grandparents for a few days, and we've kept that name ever since. So we'll just have a look at the wallpaper as before we leave the room, and then also the painted ceiling. I'd love to show you all our bedrooms, but there's 14 of them and it might take too long. So we'll go downstairs now and see the so-called state bedroom, the big bedroom on the piano nobile, and then that will be the end of our tour. So this is what we call our state bedroom. It's on the same level as the Great Hall. It has an Italian bed, and it has wall hangings that were made by the British School of Needlework. And as we sweep round to the left, you'll see a very nice lion, as it were the Lion of St. Mark's, and then an altarpiece partly painted by Rodolfo Ghirlandaio. That stands over a Genoese carved wardrobe. And then in the far corner here is the fireplace with the family motto, Spes nescia vinci, which means hope knows no defeat. Well, conveniently next to the state bedroom we have a bathroom, which we put in new about 20 years ago. It was an old bath we found in the cellars, and most people still like baths, but there are quite a lot of people who prefer a shower. So my wife has just fitted a new one in here, in this corner, which is proving to be very popular. So that really is the end of the formal tour of the house. Coming out of the bathroom back into the main hall where we started. But just before we go, I'd love to show you some slides of things that we do here, because we have to have commercial activities, weddings, photo shoots, filming, in order to keep the house going and to pay the bills. And I've got a few slides just for you to look at before we go. So have a look at my laptop and we'll see a few things that we do. So this is one of my favourite activities. It's a vintage vehicle fair, and that attracts 6,000 or 7,000 people over a weekend. And in the middle is my own steam lorry. Generally, we try to do things that appeal to families. So here's some entertainment in the grounds with various family activities going on. We have a bit of culture. So this is a touring group of actors who do Shakespearean plays. Weddings are very important to us. We do 35 or 40 weddings a year, and this was one of the grandest that we had, where they actually laid a lawn in the front courtyard and ordered masses of flowers for the outside. It was really spectacular. Inside, this is what the Gothic drawing room looks like when it becomes the official place for the wedding ceremony to happen. And then afterwards, there's a lot of chance for photography. And then once the photography is over, it's a great opportunity to have a wonderful dinner back in the Great Hall, where we can sit 150 people. Moving on, we occasionally get film bookings, and this is a film that was done by the great pop singer Madonna, and that's what the courtyard looked like when she was filling it with film vehicles. Sometimes we get photo shoots, and this is a Range Rover halfway up our front staircase. There's a nice surprise for the Land Rover guests who arrived that day. Back to filming, this is a scene from Succession, which was a really successful film, and 2 episodes were filmed at Eastnor. Back to Land Rover, here Land Rover doing an exercise floating across our lake on rafts. Photo shoots, this was for a German underwear company. And in the park, we have from time to time music festivals, and this was the Big Chill, where on one year we attracted 20,000 visitors. That was run by another company, but it was a great success and a great opportunity for us to get a lot of people here. So that effectively finishes the tour. I've really enjoyed taking you around, but what I'd enjoy even more would be if you can all come here, tell your friends. We open again next summer, and we would really love to show you around in more detail. So thank you very much for following me, and look forward to seeing you.